Fiducia Compellus? That's not bad. They would barely notice it, but is it enough? Oh, maybe Cogeria, so they're more open to suggestion. Or maybe Cogeria combined with Fiducia Compellus. Yes, that could work nicely. Oh, with a hint of Persuadere to be sure it sticks.
Compellus? Cogeria? Oh, Horseapple, she's going to mind control them, isn't she? She's reverting to being a villain. Well, that might not be a bad thing, because she works better as a villain than a protagonist, but she's going to mind control them! Yeah, that was pretty much my reaction while I was watching every little thing she does. I don't speak Latin, but I know Latin roots well enough to get an idea of what she was doing before she cast it. You know, I kind of enjoyed hearing spells referred to by name. Twilight usually just refers to them by type or function. Knowing the name gives us an idea of exactly what the spell is meant to be. And it gets more interesting with the way Starlight combines the spells. We only see the end results of the combination, so we don't really know what each spell was meant to be individually or exactly how they combined. However, knowing the names of the spells gives us an insight to their meaning. Let's warm up by looking at the spell Starlight showed off at the beginning.
As you know, speed spells like Accelero are not easy. But if done correctly, they can allow you to be much more efficient with your day.
Way to go, Starlight!
Oh, I'm not finished. I've discovered a very old spell, Similo Duplexis. When combined with Accelero in just the right way, you can literally be in two places at once.
She uses Accelero, which she refers to as a speed spell. It's easy to hear the root of the English word accelerate. In Latin, Accelero literally means I hurry. Then she casts Similo Duplexis. Similo is similar, and duplexis means double, duplicate. Similo Duplexis creates a copy, a similar duplicate. Because she needs to combine the two spells in order to be in two places at once, we can guess that Similo Duplexis creates an inanimate copy. Applying the speed spell allows the copy to move. Now let's move on to the big one. The first spell she uses is Fiducia Compellus. Fiducia is Latin for trust or confidence. Compellus comes from the verb compellare, which means to compel. Thus, Fiducia Compellus means to compel trust. Starlight says they'll barely notice it, which means that it's probably not a very intrusive spell on its own. My guess is that it's meant to just make the subject feel more trusting toward the caster. I wonder if she cast that spell on the equalized ponies. The second spell is Cogeria, which comes from the Latin verb cogere, to think. It's obviously a spell to influence thought, but the name doesn't give us any information beyond that. Starlight says it will make them more open to suggestion, which seems to be a slightly less creepy way of saying that it will allow her to influence their thoughts. The final spell is Persuadere, which is the Latin verb for to persuade or to convince. Starlight decides to use this spell to be sure it sticks. The spell is probably meant to make the subject susceptible to the caster's suggestions. Now, we can see that when the three spells were combined, they seemed to magnify and enhance each other's effects. Fiducia Compellus was probably intended to make them trust Starlight's judgment instead of disagreeing and offering their own suggestions. Instead, the results seemed to be...
Whatever you want to do first, Starlight Glimmer.
Whatever you want me to have in my mind, Starlight Glimmer.
However you want me to organize them, Starlight.
Yes, Starlight Glimmer.
Ugh. Cogeria was meant to somehow influence their thoughts, but instead it seemed to obliterate their capacity for independent thought. They were unable to think for themselves at all. Finally, Persuadere, which was probably intended to make them more suggestible, was strengthened to the point that it commanded absolute obedience. So kids, today we learned an important lesson on Latin roots. But let's not forget that we also learned an even more important lesson.
Don't cast spells on your friends!
At least not without their informed consent. Because brainwashing your friends is creepy and wrong.
And thanks to a simple Catadupa Levitata spell, we've got water. Is that everything we need to chillax?
Nope.
No. What did I miss?
Quiet.
Catadupa Levitatis. Catadupa means a large waterfall, particularly the cataracts of the Nile. Levitatis is Latin for lightness or nimbleness. The spell is for a floating waterfall. Thought I forgot about that one, didn't you?